Dr. Esidimeni, if we can go to paragraph 24 in that affidavit marked LR 114, it's still your affidavit appealing the Ombuds's findings. Have you got that paragraph 24?
Yes, on page 13, am I correct?
You
And
say...
when you refer to a paragraph, you're allowed to read it,
Yes,
so that you can take questions on it.
by virtue of.
The answer you must read it out.
Oh,
I
okay.
say you are allowed, and it's your affidavit, to look at it and read it as ahead of the questions that might be posed, if you so wish. You may proceed.
If you want to read it, please read it. I mean, you can read it into the record if you want to.
The one that says by virtue of?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you going to read it into the record, Doctor?
Oh, you want me to read it loud?
Yes, you can.
Okay. By virtue of Mr. Mosenokhi's involvement in the deinstitutionalization project and the reporting structure adopted by the MEC, the responsibility and the reporting lines for the project did not go through me. Rather, Mr. Mosenokhi reported directly to the MEC and the Chief Director, Dr. Pila Mazamisa, and Deputy Director General Clinical Services, Dr. Richard Lebete. In addition, in many instances, the MEC gave instructions directly to Mr. Mosenokhi and Dr. Manamela, bypassing me completely. Consequently, I had only a limited oversight role over the project and was excluded from the implementation process.
In that paragraph, you saying the MEC had control of this, other people had control of it, you only had a limited oversight role. Is that a correct summary of what you say?
That's the correct summary.
But it's not completely true, isn't that?
It's not 100% because there were instances where I was
Yes.
in meetings.
You were involved prior to this,
That's
when the
that's
plan was hatched.
correct.
You were involved when there were complaints from stakeholders, isn't that so?
Correct.
You were involved signing the termination letter.
Correct.
You were involved in numerous discussions with Mr. Mosenokhi. Isn't that so?
Privately, yes.
You'd help him draft a letter.
Yes, we agreed on a letter.
You were involved in the closing of the NGOs.
Post facto, yes.
Yes. So, and you said to us, you could have stopped this project if you wanted to. It was within your power. Isn't that so?
I did say yes, now I understand, because I didn't know the power issue. I understand I could have done it. I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that.
So, Dr. Silibali, what I'm putting to you is that paragraph was just another contradictory part of this evidence that you're trying to put before for everybody, trying to make yourself blameless. Isn't that the reason for that paragraph?
No, I'm not blameless.
Well,
I've
that's
not said
that is the intention that that paragraph is giving, isn't it?
I've said as the head, there's no way that I can walk away without accepting a
That is the impression the paragraph is giving, isn't that?
I don't agree entirely with your...
But you also agree the paragraph is not completely the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The intention of the paragraph was to say, at an operational level, I was not involved.
Yeah, you were attacking the Ombuds report. That was the reason for that affidavit, isn't that so?
I was stating that I was not operationally involved.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I was stating that at all material times during the implementation of the movement of patients, I was not involved.
I'm sorry, Doctor, I can't hear you. Can you just speak into the microphone?
Okay. I'm saying the paragraph explains that at the implementation, during the operational implementation of a movement of patients, I was not involved.
But we know that's not true because you've already testified to your involvement during that process.
The operational process of moving patients, that's the explanation I
We
want
will
to give
get to that more fully. in due course. I'm going to just move off for a very short time from that. I want to just check the values with which you approached your work. And you already told the court that you're not a clinician, you're an administrator. Is that so?
I'm not practicing as a clinician. Yes, I'm.
Yeah. But surely you regard yourself bound by your Hippocratic oath?
The Hippocratic.
You don't?
No, sorry. No, counsel.
An oath is something that you just call up when you want to use it. Is that what you're saying?
No. I think you're incorrect in your approach on that.
So you don't consider yourself bound by that oath?
The oath is part and parcel of being a medical doctor. So there's no way you can choose where it works and where it doesn't work.
I'm just trying to establish, as you sit there, do you regard yourself bound by your oath as a medical doctor?
In the execution of my duties, I execute it administratively. When I engage, which I don't do, the oath kicks in with patients. It would kick in.
So your short answer is no, you don't regard yourself at the moment bound by your oath.
Reason being that you don't have to
Just
be...
yes or no, please, doctor.
No.
Thank you.
Can I explain?
Do you regard yourself bound by the values set out in your annual performance plan?
Yes.
You regard those values as proper values.
Right.
But let's test those values. Do you know there are 4 values in your annual implementation performance plan, the APP? Do you know the 4 values?
Yes, you can remind me. I don't know them off my head.
Okay.
I would be happy if you can remind me.
You agree with me there are 4 values?
Yes, I should think so. Let me think. Yes.
Okay, the first value is patient-centered care. Is that right?
That's right.
And in your APP, you describe it as follows. Everything we do should benefit the patient.
That's right. That's patient-centeredness.
Is that a value that you think you live by?
Myself?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. But you would agree with me that the Gauteng Department of Health, in this closing of life Esidimeni, didn't uphold that value?
No, I wouldn't agree with you because you are now taking it for now. It comes out that way, but during the time when the thinking was not really not being patient-centered.
Okay, but let's test that. We know that the patients were moved without any preparation. That's not putting the patient first. Do you agree?
I now know that.
I'm not asking what you now know. I'm saying that the Department of Health didn't uphold that value. And you don't agree with me. So I'm trying to test it. So what I'm now saying is they didn't prepare the patients. Do you agree?
Now I know they didn't, yes.
We know the people died without food and water.
I now know that, yes.
Yes. We know many patients relapsed because they didn't act in the best interest of the patient. Isn't that so?
I know that now, yes.
Please, doctor, you've known it before now. Please let us just not play with words.
No.
I'm only testing this value. I'll get to what you knew. So do you agree with me that the Department of Health didn't uphold that value?
In the greater scheme of things, yes, on this particular instance.
And you do agree then that the officials and the NGOs didn't act in the best interest of the patients?
With what has happened, yes, I agree.
And you say you're the captain of the ship?
Agreed.
So therefore you didn't uphold these values?
It comes out that way now, but at the time that the project was initiated, the values were to be upheld.
Yes, but I want to put it to you more than only as the captain of the ship. You didn't uphold the values. knowing about the stakeholder complaints, which my learned friend have taken you through. Isn't that so?
No, but it has no relationship. When there were complaints,
You ignored the complaints. You lied to the court. Is that upholding the best interest of the patient?
how did I lie? Please, how did I lie, as counsel, with due respect?
We'll get to the court cases again if you want to. You told the court everything was in order. Everything is going well. No patient would be harmed. Isn't that so?
But I wouldn't say before the execution of the plan that patients are going to be harmed. How would I say
Nobody is speaking about before the execution. I said during this plan, you knew that patients are being harmed.
No, before the execution, no.
Before the plan was put into operation, SADC didn't tell you you're busy with the wrong thing.
They raised objections.
Yes,
But
and
that
you
doesn't
ignored
mean then,
them.
Does it therefore mean that I knew that patients were going to demise?
So we're not talking about demising, we're not talking about dying, we're talking acting in the best interest of the patient. That's the value that we are on at the moment. And I'm putting it to you, you didn't act in the best interest of the patients yourself.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you at all.
Also want to put it to you, you must accept more responsibility than just saying your personnel did things wrong. You did things wrong.
I've actually never pointed a finger. I said I take accountability as the HOD, and I've said it doesn't matter whether I was there or not. As the accounting officer and as a leader, I cannot start pointing fingers. I must be the first one to take accountability.
Mr. Mosonogi told you there's going to be problems.
We discussed with Mr.
Yes,
Mosonogi.
and you didn't do anything.
We raised it with the MEC.
So you didn't stop in the best interest of the patients.
You're putting it as if we deliberately didn't want to stop anything. No.
Yes, that's exactly what
No,
I'm
it's not
putting to
true.
you.
No, it's not true.
So I'm putting it to you that you deliberately ignored the first value by which you're
No, it's
supposed
not
to
true.
live,
No, it's
of
not
not being patient-centered.
No, it's not true, Councillor. It's not true.
Okay, let's go to the next
Yeah,
value.
but you're bound by the answer now.
Yes, I'm
You've
going.
witnessed several times, and his answer is,
Yes.
yeah, you can argue whether I ought to believe that or not. Thank you.
The next value, the second value, is accountability. Do you agree with that?
Correct?
And you set out this value as we take ownership of our responsibilities and go beyond, above and beyond. Remember that line?
I don't remember line by line, but I'll...
Do you remember that line that I've just read to you?
It would help perhaps if I had it now, but I don't have. But I'm saying
I'll read it again.
I-
We take ownership of our responsibility and we go above and beyond.
But where's the APP? That comes from the APP, doesn't
It comes from his affidavit. It's a very lengthy document. It would have cost a lot to make copies.
And do we have it electronically?
No, we don't have it electronically.
Yeah, sure. But the patient is entitled to see the document if you're going to take or put things to him from the document.
Yes.
It's a matter of fairness. So you might want to defer that for later or have it electronically put before the patient, so I mean, before the witness, so that you may be able to look at it and confirm, refresh his memory and confirm whether it is so or not. Very well.
I can do that. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, when he says, I don't remember, then obviously then he's entitled to...
Could I just test it once
Yes,
more time?
yes, certainly.
Do you agree with me that the second value is accountability?
Accountability is correct, yes.
Yes, and that you take responsibility.
I take accountability, yes.
Yeah. And you expect colleagues to do the same.
I expect any leader, myself included, that when things are right, you take the accolades. When things are wrong, you must take accountability.
And that you do that to get the best outcome for your patient. That's what accountability means.
Yes, we do everything to the best of the patient.
Now, you will agree with me, now looking back, that the Department of Health was not accountable in this project as they should have been.
Yes, the department, things went terribly wrong, I agree with you.
And at the Umbud, the same happened. They didn't take responsibility. Do you agree? The department as a whole.
I don't know, but I did. I took accountability to the Umbud.
The Umbud found you to be vague and differentiating between responsibility and accountability. Isn't that so?
That's the report of the Umbud.
Well, I'm going to put it to you that in saying you're taking responsibility, you're actually paying lip service to that. And for that, I'm going to take you to LR 115, if I may. Have you seen 115? Can I have yours, please?
Can I?
LR 115.
Okay.
Can we get LR 115 before the witness? Okay.
Thank you. Do you see LR 115?
I can see that.
It is a document prepared by yourself. You see that?
No, I wouldn't. I know the document, but it didn't be prepared by myself. I didn't have all the details that are inside.
It's a document that you attached to your affidavit in the appeal to the Ombud on which you relied. Are you admitting to that?
Let me
At the initial level, this is a document that bears your name
yes,
as author. Well, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, let's go
it's-
over
my
the
name is
hurdle. Then you might be an explanation that somebody else wrote it.
Wrote it,
yeah,
and then
but
I know about it.
Let's be
yes.
efficient about
Yes.
this.
Okay.
Yes, the document bears your name.
My name. Yes.
And look at its date, look at its
That's right.
heading and so on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a document that is dated 14 September 2016. Do you see that?
That's right.
Now, we know on the 13th of September 2016, the MEC was before the legislature. And at that stage, she said 36 people died. We know that.
That's correct.
So this is the day immediately after the MEC was in the legislature.
I didn't know whether, you are right, when you say the 13th, I don't recall the date exactly when she was in the legislature.
Now, this document is prepared in your name.
I don't deny that.
Sorry?
I'm not denying that.
Yes. And the purpose of this is to tell the MEC, I suppose, that more people have died than she initially thought the day before. Do you want to read through the document first?
Yeah, can I just
Yes, please.
acquaint myself with it?
Can I write on your thing?
Okay, Council.
Now, this is a document that you have placed before the forum
Okay.
when you appealed the Ombud's findings against you. Do you agree?
Yes, yes, yes.
And we know the time when this was done.
Okay.
Now, if you go to the first line under the paragraph heading discussions,
Discussions.
do you see that?
You see that?
See, the placement went on very well. Now, surely by the 14th of September, you knew that wasn't true.
Patients had demised, yes.
So why would you have put that before the MEC?
I think the placement, the managers, when they were reporting to me on this one, they were saying the removal of patients from A to B went well. That's what.
Yeah, but we know it's not true.
But you know it could be true. It's true that patients were moved from A to B.
Yes, move is one thing.
They were placed where? Yes.
That it went very well is a totally different thing, and it's not true. Do you agree?
No, but that's your opinion. I'm saying
Yes, you see, that's my opinion on accountability. An accountable manager would say, yes, I've made a mistake. This should have been not in the report. But you're still defending it that it went well.
no.
What are you doing?
I'm saying the movement, my understanding of this sentence says moving from point A to B, there were no hurdles. That doesn't mean that the patients were now moving into dangerous situations. That doesn't mean
But we know that's not true. We knew the
Now
family
we know
members
it-
couldn't find them. We knew they were moved in terrible, inhumane manners at times.
Yes.
We knew they moved without their clothing. We knew so many things.
At that time, when I get a report, they say we're moving with EMS, the doctors have examined the patients, everything is going well. I agree with you. But at that time, you are the HOD, you think everything is going well, and boom, you know that, whoa, things are not what the managers are saying. I don't want to go, Justice, into what you said. Your words are still ringing that we then, without using your words, then we want to shift the blame to other people. No, I don't want to go that route. That's why I'm very careful in saying managers this, managers that.
You see?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get the ultimate. The council is going to have to go there. If you insist the move went well, then she'll have to put to quite a number of things. Their examination, their desegregation, to use your words, their files and records, the mode of transport, their arrival and admissions. We have evidence of what happened in Kaliland, places like that. When they came there, they didn't know their names, they didn't know, relied on pictures and photographs, and they didn't have medication scripts with them. So I don't know whether you want to go down the route that says
I
things
wouldn't-
went well.
I wouldn't want to go down that road, except to say EMS have what we call transport, patient transport. They were tasked with the
At best, it was
duty.
reported to you that these things went well.
At best.
I don't know how you could defend that statement. With what we know now.
What we know now that
31 days of hearing, we know a hell of a lot.
that things didn't go according to the way the reports were coming. Yes.
Many of people have moved this council without family members being notified. Life as Esidimeni says because they were never given NGOs where they were going to be taken to. We couldn't find a schedule of NGOs where they were taken to. Files did not go along. Most of them were admitted when they arrived by, there were no caregivers or nurses or somebody to just receive them.
At the NGOs, yeah.
Okay.
I know that. I know.
Okay,
Now
listen-
I know that. I know.
Listen to the question and then give an answer then. Council?
Thank you, Justice Musaneke. Just reminding you again, you placed this before the appeal process to prove that the Umbud was wrong, but you also placed this before the MEC to deal with why so many people had died. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, the very next sentence, you say, well, people have died at Life Esidimeni before the move. You see that?
However, some patient passed on at LE facilities before they were placed. Yes, I can see
And
that.
then you get graphs of people dying for the 5 years previous to that.
Yes.
So is that accountability? To say, well, people have died forever. 5 years, look how many people have died. Is that taking responsibility?
No, it's a comparative analysis.
Yes. But you haven't done the same with Westkoppies and Sterkfontein and Cullinan. It's only with Life Esidimeni that you do this in this report. Why is that?
But you can't deny that we a comparative analysis was done.
Well,
Unless if you say it's wrong to have done that, then I'll say it's fine, it was wrong. But
No.
it was a comparative analysis.
yes, sir, it wasn't a comparative analysis because then you would have taken the other centers as well. What you're trying to say is, well, people die. Isn't that so?
Let me rather explain to you. I didn't want to come back to it. It would be, that's why I use the word comparative. You wouldn't compare the patients at Life Esidimeni with the patients at Westkoppies or Sterkfontein. You can't compare the two. They're a different category.
There's your answer.
Thank you,
He
Justice.
chose to compare patients from Life Esidimeni
And you,
with those that died, yes.
in the last paragraph on the first page of LR 115, you say that the deaths reported
Just
by
give
the
me a chance.
NGOs were all natural death. Do you see that?
Um,
Do you see that?
I was just trying to follow you. My eyesight can be, especially the writing's not nice. Which page are you in?
Am I still at the first page, sir?
First page, okay. First page. How, the one that starts with the department?
The last paragraph, second line says the deaths reported by the NGOs were all natural deaths.
Reported
You
by
see
the
that?
NGOs. Yes, I see
You still stand by that?
that. Yes, it's true. That's what the NGOs said. They said the deaths were
Can we
natural.
move to the next page, please?
Okay.
It's important to note that most spiking up of deaths in any given environment are linked to predisposing causes and complications of medical conditions such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart diseases, cancers, etc. Is that taking responsibility for the deaths?
I don't know how you link that.
Well, that's what you said in this report. You're trying to explain why so many people die, and you say, well, deaths spike all the time. Isn't that
I
so?
don't know how you link that.
Let us continue. All the deaths that took place raise concern and are taken very seriously, and as a department, we sympathize with the affected families. However, the following factors are not uncommon. Again, paying lip service. Look at the first bullet point. You speak about winter months. People die in winter months. Is that right?
That's right.
So you're saying these people died because it was winter months. Is that what you were saying?
It was an analysis given to me, yes.
Yes. The Umbud has ruled that as a non-issue. He's looked at the temperatures and he said the coldest places people didn't die, at warmer places people did die. So it was something else that caused their death. Will you accept that?
The Ombudsman said that. I will not quarrel with that.
Your next bullet point explaining the deaths. You say the department placed frail patients last as some patients were vulnerable and susceptible to illness. What does that mean? Saying they were vulnerable and therefore they will get ill and therefore they will die.
No.
What are you
The
saying?
department, frail patients are those who are very sick. More often than not, frail patients, you find that they're old, they've got comorbidities, they really need far much more specialized care. That's what is meant here.
You weren't trying to say, well, they were
No,
due to die.
no one has a right to determine who must or must not die. No one.
And you say some had infectious diseases as HIV and chronic physical illness.
That's the report.
Could that be a reason for them
No,
dying?
no,
Oh, I
people
see.
don't have to die because of that. No.
Yes. And if we go to the fourth bullet point, we are all aware that sudden deaths also do occur anywhere in the community and any environment. You were saying, well, people die suddenly.
It comes out ugly the way you are putting it now that people die suddenly. The explanation here was that it is possible that you can sleep being well and you get a myocardial
But
infarction.
what's the purpose of all those bullet points? That's really where council is going to. Read together with your conclusion in this document. What were you seeking to convey? These are natural deaths. Were you? People die. In any event, they were sick.
No, Justice.
They were frail.
No,
It was winter. What are those bullet points about?
no. I don't want us to jump to the conclusion.
Okay, tell me, correct me. Tell me what
I'm
is
saying
the right conclusion about those bullet points?
here, I mean, what was being given was a situation. But I'm saying it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't take responsibility. Here, there was a comparative analysis. Whether it was wrong or right, then, at that time, when the managers and myself were sitting and working on this, we thought it was right. And if it comes out now that it's wrong, and then I'll accept that you're saying it's wrong.
No,
I'll
council
accept.
says to you, this report by you compiled in September 14th, 2016, puts out a number of bullet points that suggest people died in the normal course of providing health care to mental health care users. Is that what you intended to convey?
By and large, you're correct,
Yes.
Justice.
You're
Yes.
saying, yeah, people have died, but, you know,
No, not
half of the course.
no.
No?
You know, when you put it this way, it's as if we are now demeaning what happened. No, that was
No,
not the
don't
intention.
go to demeaning and psychological issues.
Yes.
I want to understand, what council is exploring with you is what are these bullet points meant to convey? And I inquire further and say, were they meant to convey that they died in the normal course of providing mental health care to users?
It was conveying most definitely or probably that in the process of patient life, there would be instances where you can analyze what is
Why
the cause
do you
of.
say they may have died because of inadequate or poor mental health care? Why doesn't any of the bullet points say that?
You
Why
can't.
do they say they had HIV, they had diabetes, they were ill and wara, and it was winter? Why don't you say, that's what council is testing with you. Why don't you say, I think they, at least some of them, passed on because of inadequate mental health care?
It wouldn't be completely correct because you wouldn't pass away because of a mental condition.
I was trying to cut to the chase so we can save some time, but look at your conclusion.
I'm sorry if the department investigates any deaths that took place in all facilities. There were no unnatural deaths that were reported.
You see that conclusion? Could you just read it out loudly?
There were no unnatural deaths that were reported. You rely on people to say, was it a natural or an unnatural death? And if it's not reported, it's not, I wouldn't there sitting in the office say, no, I don't believe you, it's unnatural. I'll have to come up and adduce evidence. Why am I saying that?
So the conclusion of all of this exercise is no unnatural death, MEC. I mean, no unnatural death, stop. I mean, that's the conclusion.
They were not reported. However, it is very much important to find out what the cause of the deaths are.
Counsel?
Thank you, Justice. I'm just going to take you back to the last bullet point. You say, it is of critical importance to note that although the department managed to place all the patients without a problem, some of the patients died from life Esidimeni before the placement, and then you give the statistics. Again, making light of the people that died at the NGOs. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree we're making light. Like I said, it was a comparative analysis.
And then you say in table 3, on the next page, that 2 people had died. Do you see that? And table 4, you say 41 people had died. Do you see that?
Table 4?
Yes, the last page. The end of the last page, you say
41.
41 people have died. So all in all, this report says 43 people died. Is that so?
Yes, yes, I
Yes,
think so.
and we know the previous day in Parliament, the MEC said don't grandstand the deaths, but she only knew of 36 deaths. Is that so?
That was before the preparation of the report.
Yes, a day before.
A day before.
Yes, and we also know nobody died on the 13th and the 14th of September. So how did the deaths go from 36 to 43 in one day? Do you know?
From 36 to 43. I didn't know.
Yes. And the Umbud found that more than 70 people had already died at that date. And you didn't know that.
I said yesterday that in my discussion with the ombuds, that's
Just
what...
yes or no, sir?
Yes, I didn't know at that
Yes.
time.
But if you are so hung up on numbers and on graphs and on numeric patterns, why didn't you go and check the actual deaths? Why did your people not check?
I think our systems let us down, and we spoke about it, Justice, that you rely on drips and drabs of information, and the system lets you down because you don't know. You said it, yes, you used the correct word. We didn't have a tracking mechanism. That is where the problem started.
You write a report in the midst of the carnage in September 2016, and you put up numbers and put up graphs. You surely have to be careful that you know who actually died. And you underreporting by more than 50%. And then you say these are natural deaths, my conclusion.
No, Judge. I take the point, and I agree that it
You
comes...
agree that
it
on
comes
Ombuds
out-
count you've underreported by...
When the ombuds raised it in November, and
Yes.
what in my discussion, I said to the ombuds, what we knew then was around 30, and that's why I was restricting it to a period 36, 40. The ombuds said, no. You don't know, let me tell you. The number was 78.
Yeah, but counsel is taxing you on that very point. You're writing as a report that has been smoothened up, that has been made pretty. You're underreporting, and you pretend to be making comparatives
No,
with graphs and figures, and it turns out that you actually,
we're wrong,
yes, you're totally wrong.
but do not...
And that is the concession that she's looking for.
Yes, we were wrong then, but do not, Justice, through you again, say that there were ulterior motives. There were no ulterior motives.
No, there are no accusations yet. I mean, she wants an explanation why in the middle of September, as I say, when the carnage is in full swing, you would write a report, your MEC says only so many died before the legislature, 36, the following day 42, and then it turns out there are actually around 90 people who died.
It's unfortunate, really.
So clearly, even the numbers you gave and the conclusions you reached are patently
They were
flawed.
wrong. They were wrong. Yes.
They were wrong.
They were wrong.
And that's the point of the cross-examination.
Yes, they were wrong. They were wrong.
Counsel.
Thank you very much, Justice. Did you follow the parliamentary discourse of the MEC before the legislature at all?
No, I didn't.
Thank you. But there were allegations made, and must have come to your attention, that people were hungry and they didn't have medicine. Isn't that so? Already at this stage.
There were allegations in the media, and
Yes.
I agree.
And my question to you is, why is none of that included in this report?
Well, it was not included.
Yes, and that's exactly what my problem is, because you say the value is accountability. We call each other up to go beyond. You know that these NGOs were not performing. And you put all these generic things of people died before, they were ill, they were vulnerable, they died there just for nothing.
No,
Why
Council-
didn't you deal with the real things for which you were supposed to be accountable?
No, Council, you are saying I know that the NGOs are not working. No, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yes, but you see, you heard what the families said, you heard what the media was saying, and your report is silent on that. Why is that?
That's a different thing.
Will you agree with me that's not accountability? That's not
No.
taking responsibility.
No, I think you are stretching it. You are stretching it.
But in September, had you started shutting down NGOs?
No, not
September
that time.
2016?
No, we had not started.
When did you shut down NGOs? On
Should
your
be-
evidence of yesterday.
It should be either late September or early October. That's when I started.
When did
ran
Dr.
around.
Motsoledi phone you? Was it in July 2016?
No.
When was it?
It was around when he phoned me. That was, I think, my recollection would be it was after the parliamentary discussions. It was after that he said, now the media is aware of this, what is going on, and we discussed that. And he said, and that should have, I'm sure they were
When did you
discussing
shut
amongst
down
them.
all these
I
NGOs?
don't recall the actual date, Justice, but it should be long after the parliamentary discussions.
You see, what council is putting to you is there was so much public concern out there.
Yes.
The MEC made this statement precisely because there were inquiries, there were TV programs.
Yes.
There had been marches to your office
I should say they came after.
on the evidence. Anyway, we'll go and check. The marches
Yeah.
started quite early.
Quite early.
In any event, and yet you have an airbrushed report. That is the point.
No, I didn't say that.
What were you
Justice.
doing?
No,
why,
it was
why
not.
were you not
No.
forthright and honest about the crisis? Why do you put this hunky-dory picture? It's all fine, they died, they were ill.
No, I think you are
We are
describing it.
concerned, but they died. Huh?
You are describing it harshly,
Okay.
Justice.
You describe it better.
No, I'm not. I don't want to.
Yes.
I'm not taking you on, Justice. Please forgive me. Please forgive me.
No, not. But this calls for an explanation. You see, a September report. That's what you have been texted on. Council,
Thank you,
I
Justice.
don't know if I've helped your cause. I may not have.
You've tied the bow around the course. Thank you. I'm going to move on to your third point, the third value that your department holds dear, and that's one of transparency.
Okay.
And you describe this value as that you strive to be open and honest in all we do.
That's right.
Is that a value by which you live?
Myself as a person, yes.
But this report wasn't open and honest in all we do. Do you agree with that?
When you judge it now, yes, I agree with you, but at that time, no.
Yes, and up until now, and I'm sorry to be like a broken record, we still don't know why this project happened. There's no transparency there.
I just
Do you agree?
wish it hadn't happened. That's how I actually feel.
Sorry?
Myself. I'm saying I just wish it hadn't just happened
Yes,
at
but
all.
do you agree with me? We still don't know why this happened.
The reasons we are giving on fiscal are not good enough.
The reasons are just not true, sir.
I wouldn't agree with you, Councillor.
And you will also agree with me that the families weren't taken into your confidence at all.
There were family meetings, and families were not happy. I will never come here and say families were happy with us.
Yes,
No,
you
they
were
not.
part of volatile meetings at Randfontein.
I was there.
Yes, and you didn't do anything about that.
I was there.
That's not transparency, is it? We've listened to you, but we'll go ahead regardless of your feelings. That's what you basically told. Isn't that so?
Yeah, the meeting in Randfontein was painful. I'll tell you now.
Well, so it wasn't painful enough for you to act upon. Isn't that so?
You're putting it differently.
Just answer my question, please.
No, it's not so.
It was painful enough for you to react upon. You did something
I
about it.
didn't react. It doesn't measure the painfulness of it.
So I'm going to leave that there. Your fourth value is one of efficiency. Your last value. Do you agree?
Just before you move to efficiency, a value in our constitution akin to transparency is responsiveness of state,
Openness.
all right?
Yes.
Responsiveness. Openness is the one where you make available information and you tell it truthfully. The other is responsiveness. You find it in chapter 1 of our Constitution. It's one of the founding values of our nation, responsiveness. It doesn't require the state to do everything that the people demand, but it requires a state that listens
That's right.
and seek to respond to
The needs.
the needs of. So the question is, but why didn't you hear? You go to a painful meeting in Randfontein, and people there were unhappy. We've had lots of evidence on that. I think it's the meeting where the MEC came late.
No, she did. She was not there.
She was
It's not
not
that
there.
one. That one was at
It was an earlier one.
at
Sorry.
Waverley.
Yeah,
It was
an
at
earlier one.
Waverley.
Sorry, I confused that. But be that as it may, Mr. Musenochi was there, right?
No, he was with me. Yes.
And I think Dr. Manamela was there.
Yeah.
And you
she
were
was there. I was there. I was there.
Why weren't you responsive to these concerns of the families? We public servants are there only and only to serve the people.
That's
There's
correct.
no other reason why they are public servants.
It's correct, Judge.
But why weren't you responsive to them?
Judge, I can only say, it's regrettable that I just wish we could just go back and undo all the things that happened and do things better. I will not say if it happens, I will do it, because I don't even want this type of thing to happen to anybody, anywhere, anyhow.
But was
Never.
it because they were family members of mental health care users and they had no recourse, no power, no influence?
No, Judge, no.
But
no.
why did you ignore them? I mean, it was a terrible meeting. We have evidence on
It
that.
was sad.
So I'm still struggling, and they too are struggling, that they tried so much. Other things can be put to you. In fact, there were all the marches, all the memoranda. They went to the media.
Yes, I know, Judge.
Advocate Hassan took you there yesterday.
Yes.
And I just wonder, because it's a value of our Constitution. It sits there in black and white. The state will be responsive.
Must be responsive. I agree. I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to try and explain it away or hide around it. One wishes one could have been far much more responsive at that time, to know that the horror will be visited
Sure.
to people.
And to wrap it up, you are there. You've got your finger there. Had you been responsive then, as a caring state then, the tragedy would not have happened. It's obvious.
You're correct.
Council, you're going to the next value.
I'm going to move on
Just
to...
interpose with another one in our constitution, okay?
Thank you, Justice. I'm going to move on to the last value in your annual performance plan, and that's efficiency.
Okay.
You also have it as your fourth value.
Yes, efficiency. I'm following you, I agree
Yes,
with you. Yeah.
and you describe that as we know that wasting resources has a negative impact on patients.
Yes,
And we've seen that patients were harmed in this process. Do you agree?
in the process, yes, the patients were harmed.
We also know that before this project already, the Health Advance Institute explained to you that it was good money, good value for money.
It said general. You remember we spoke about it with,
And we
didn't
have
want-
we have the Minister of Health saying to Parliament it wasn't about money. There was enough money to treat these patients.
I can't comment on what the minister said.
But you're
very-
the HOD. Either he's lying or you guys have an ulterior motive. So please help us.
Well, if you want to know about Gauteng, I would tell you that we are running short of almost 3.5 billion. So if the minister says there was more, that's why. I
Now,
don't
the
want to-
minister says, he doesn't say this, he said there was no reason to harm these patients. There was enough money to treat them. Are you differing from him?
All I can say,
Shall we put that document?
Yes.
can
Could you
find
please
it,
go
Councillor?
LI 84?
Please put Ella for before the witness.
is that what the minister said? Okay.
Ella 84, I think.
Yeah. My glasses, ooh, yeah, they're so small. Eh?
Dr. Esidimeni, do you have LR 84,
84, I have.
84 before
I have.
you?
I have.
That is Minister Aaron Motsoleni address on Life Esidimeni mental health patients tragedy in Parliament on the 23rd of February 2017.
That's right.
Do you see that?
That's right. I can see that.
He calls this a moment of madness in line 14. Do you see that?
Can I, Justice, can I just quickly acquaint myself
Yeah,
with
yes,
that?
do so.
Okay.
It's a long statement, but you can read it.
I'll do a quick reading. Okay, let me not, because the writing is very small. Let's proceed, Council. Sorry for a small delay.
Okay, let's help. You can accept Yes, Council will tell you what document it is.
Yeah, the writing
And
is very small.
Council will read to you the
Okay,
passages where the minister, what the minister said
yeah,
about this project.
okay.
You may proceed, Council.
Thank you, Judge. I'm going to read for you between lines 10 and 15 in the middle of that paragraph.
10 and
It's-
15?
Yes, first page of the document. He says, this constitutes one of the periods of darkness in the history of our country.
Okay.
But dare I say, it was also a moment of madness in the Provincial Health Department. Do you agree with that?
I should agree with particularly the moment of madness, yes.
Line 15, our anguish is
Line
exacerbated
15, okay.
for- by the very fact that the deceased constitutes some of the most vulnerable members of society who are in need of even more protection than the rest of the society. Will you agree with that?
That's right.
The next line, that the idea behind the Gauteng Mental Health Marathon project, as it came to be known, was to save money, adds another dimension to our disappointment and pain. Would you agree with that?
I don't want to have an open spat here, but
No, but just confront that. The minister has a view and sets it out. You are asked, do you agree with the minister? It's open to you to say, I don't agree with him, or I agree with him.
No,
So
I
we
don't
can
ag-
make progress.
No.
That is his public statement in
Yeah, no.
Parliament.
no, I don't agree that
Okay, let us test that. Are you saying it wasn't to save money? The project?
the project was, the project, and I said the fiscus was under pressure. The aim of the project, firstly, we thought, the thinking at that time is that we will be able to distribute resources within the department because we're at 3.5, I think, I don't
No,
know
but
if it's
listen to the statement.
Yeah.
You're throwing a lot of detail. Listen to what the minister says, and I ask you to engage that and answer it and say, I don't
I
agree
don't
with
agree.
him.
I don't agree.
You don't agree that this was to save money?
In the manner that is being put here, no, I don't agree.
Well, you've told us it was to save money.
It was, I did explain this revenue enhancement to distribute the
We can
resources.
use big words all day, sir, and not understand each other. But is the simple thing not that you wanted to save money?
Okay, in simple terms, let me agree with you to us to save
Yeah.
costs.
And the minister say that is disappointing and painful to him, as it should be to any person.
It is painful that.
Yes. So
in the
you agree with the
process-
minister's statement?
I said, for the purposes, I will say it's fine what the
Let's
minister
go
said.
to line 19, sir. Doctor, it says, I wish to put on it on record that at no stage did it emerge, directly or indirectly, implicitly or explicitly, that the Department of Health nationally or in any province has run out of money to take care of mentally ill patients. Do you agree with that statement?
I don't know why would, the difficulty I have, let me explain. I don't know why would be to say there's no money to take care of mentally ill patients, as if there's money to do other things. To take care of one patient, it's a composite approach, Justice. So
Your Minister of National Health tells the nation
that there's no money to take.
no, that there was money nationally and in each of the provinces to take care of mental health care users. Read it again. Can you see it? Can you read it?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
So the question is, do you agree with Minister Motsoaledi in his statement to Parliament and therefore to the nation?
I don't completely agree with the minister.
He says you were never short of money to look after patients who need mental health care. Your answer is he's wrong about that.
I don't completely agree.
Completely doesn't help us. Do you agree with the statement? No, you don't?
No.
There's your answer.
Thank you, Justice. Dr. Celebano, we've now looked at these 4 values, and no doubt
What? I
the
consider.
department in respect of this mental health um,
I agree.
users.
I agree with you, Council.
And you will also agree with me that you flaunted them in your personal capacity as HOD.
I don't agree with you at that
Okay.
level.
So everybody else has made a mistake, but you've done nothing wrong. Is that what you're saying?
No, you are personalizing a project. That's what I'm trying to say.
You
that
what? Sorry?
You are personalizing it. You put it to me as a person. You
Yes.
don't see me inside a system. I'm inside a Department of Health.
So what I'm putting to you is that these values wasn't part of your armor when this project was being implemented.
I'm not too sure why do you want Council to pin them on as if...
No, let's forget about you, please.
No,
Council is saying that there are 4 values, you've gone through them
yes,
in your own policy statement,
that's correct.
your plan, your annual plan.
That's correct.
And Council says to you, Project Esidimeni Marathon did not
Go according to plan. I agree.
fulfill any of these values.
I agree with
You
that.
agree?
The department, we didn't do it the right way.
I know you're busy standing on the side, but you agree that all these 4 values were violated.
Fair.
Fair. You agree, in other words?
Yes.
Okay, Council.
And as HOD, you also ignored them.
I didn't ignore them.
Okay.
As HOD, no.
Sir, I'm going to leave that there for argument, but I have to put it to you that even at this late stage, you're just paying lip service to your taking responsibility.
That's your opinion.
And
You
you
don't
dis-
know me in my heart.
Yes. But we only have your evidence before us. I'm going to move on to another point now, if I may, Justice. So I'm going to just speak a little bit about the licenses that my learned friend has spoken quite a lot, and I'm going to try not to repeat what she said. You can close all the files in front of you. I am going to, at some stage, refer to file 7, though. You've agreed that the licenses is significant in saving lives. Is that right?
Can you explain in what sense so that I
No,
know
you
what
said
I'm
that,
answering?
sir. You said it carried great significance.
License,
Okay,
license.
just get yourself tidied up. Council is not going to ask you questions out of that now. Later on out of volume 7, so you can put the files, Uba King, just help Dr. Aviwe. Tell us who says the files part. Just take them away from the doctor, and then he can listen to the questions that have been put to him. Enkos. Okay, Council.
Thank you, Justice. You agreed with my learned friend during the course of your evidence that the licenses are important.
It's an assessment tool that.
And it could have saved lives if it was properly
If it was
implemented.
properly done, I agree.
Yes. We also know from the evidence here is that the licenses was only given to the NGOs after they've already received patients.
I got to know that, yes, yes.
And that must be wrong on anybody's stake.
No arguments about that.
You've spoken a little bit about the authority. You don't accept the legal opinion. It seems to me that you were the person to either sign the licenses or to delegate. Do you accept it now?
I said that we had a discussion. The
No,
signing,
we know what you've said, sir.
Okay.
We've definitely listened to everything you said. Justice Moseneke explained to you the rule of law. Do you accept thou that you, the responsible person that should have signed the licenses?
No.
You're still not.
The licenses are signed by the department consent.
Yes.
Yes.
It bothers me, sir, that you having a legal department would be so naive about the legal position. Why is that?
Maybe I'm being let down by the legal
Maybe
department.
it speaks to your competence as a manager.
No.
Okay, let us continue.
No, I don't agree with you, Council.
After the Ombuds report, you re-signed licenses. You've said so.
I conceded to that, yes.
Dr. Malamela told us that the MEC had asked you to sign those
Sign
licenses.
the contracts, yes.
You didn't tell us about that yesterday. Was it
I
the
didn't-
MEC that asked you to do that?
The MEC said, just sign the
Yes. Now let me just understand. When you just signed these contracts, you didn't have any supporting documents with you.
at that time, no.
You've been licenses, council.
Sorry,
When
when
HOD signed the licenses,
yes, what did I say, Justice?
contracts,
I'm very
they're
sorry.
still young, council.
It doesn't feel so, Justice. You didn't have any supporting documents before
Yes,
you.
it was on the strength that I was regularizing, and I've conceded to that I was regularizing.
Yes. Do you know why the law would require your signature on these licenses?
I don't, you are saying,
If you accept now that your signature is important, and you put your signature there, do you know why the law would require that?
yesterday I explained that
You might or might not know what
I
the law.
don't know, yes.
You don't know, and let council put it to you.
Okay, put it to me, Council, I don't know.
She's got all the legal requirements
Okay.
in front of her.
Okay,
We have been there before with Dr.
All right.
Manamela.
all right.
Get yourself ready. She's going to tell you what the law requires of
The
you.
what, okay,
Yes.
Justice, I don't want to disappoint you, but you already gave a legal opinion that was correct yesterday.
No, please go ahead. No. I just want the witness not to be argumentative, but to listen to your question and answer it.
Yes.
I'm
As
sorry,
an
Justice,
HOD,
if I
when
come
you
out argumentative, it's not my
Yes,
intention.
please, doctor. You know, you've been there for 3 days, and I want you to go home today.
want to go
and
home.
not come back tomorrow.
Thank you.
And that's going to happen only if you listen to the questions and we remain respectful to each other.
To each other.
Me to you, you
trying,
to me,
I'm
you
trying
to
very hard.
council, okay?
If I've gone out of the way anywhere
No
down the
problem.
line.
But that's only
yeah.
currency we deal with,
Yeah,
respect,
okay.
okay? Council?
Thank you, Justice Musineke.
I'm sorry, Council, if anywhere I indicated some disrespect for you. Please forgive me.
Doctor, there's no need to apologize at this stage, but what I was asking you is, do you think if the law requires you to sign a document, that your signature on it is sufficient?
Correct.
You don't think that you have to apply your mind before appending your signature?
I do apply my mind before I sign. I have to apply my mind.
Yes, but with these licenses, you did not. You didn't apply your mind whatsoever.
Because I was under the impression that I'm regularizing.
Yes, sir, but we're getting to the fact that your signature must mean something. Your signature doesn't mean that somebody else has done something. It means that you've done something. That's the rule of law, isn't it? So it means if your signature is on something, you say this is correct. Do you agree?
I agree.
Well, the date on which you issued it wasn't correct.
I've conceded to that.
And you haven't looked at the details whatsoever to
When you-
see whether these people could be granted the licenses. Do you agree?
When you regularize,
Just yes or no, sir.
let me just give you a simple explanation. When
You
regu-
can give the explanation, but first answer my question, then you give your explanation. You didn't check whether these licenses were in fact proper licenses that should be given to these people.
I didn't have to check. Because I was regularizing what I at that time assumed that things have been done right. That's what I was trying to say.
So I'm going to just quickly take you to file 7. I'm going to take you to file 7, page 2373.
Page
2373.
I'm there, Council.
Do you see that that is your signature as head of the department?
Yes, I
on a license?
I considered even yesterday it is my signature.
Yes, and the license is for Lapeng. Do you see that?
That's right, Council.
And Lapeng is supposed to be at 12 Anthony Street, Vereeniging.
Yes, Council.
Do you know whether there's a 12 Anthony Street in Vereeniging?
No, I don't. I wouldn't know.
And it's for persons with severe psychiatric disability. Do you see that?
That's right.
And it's for 56 people.
I can see that.
And it's for the period 1 April 2016 to 31st March 2017.
That's right, Council.
And that would give them a license to then act as an NGO. Is that so? To take these patients, all 56 of them.
Dr. Manamel had signed.
No,
and
no,
then-
I'm asking you. If you give them
Then
the
I-
certificate, this would
then
mean
I
this.
signed.
Yes.
Then I signed.
Let's just turn the page, sir. Page 2374. It is now for Lapeng Home of the Aged. You see that?
That's right.
And it's again your signature, 1st
right.
April 2016. You see that?
That's right.
It's again 12 Anthony, something else. Anthony
Tekman, yes.
Tegmen Street.
That's right.
Do you know of that street in Vereeniging?
No, I don't.
And it's now for 38 severe psychiatric disability patients.
That's right.
Two seemingly similar licenses dealing with same place, but clearly not either of them correctly. Now let us just turn the page one more time.
Same page.
Now page 2375.
Okay.
Now you were regularizing, and this is Dr. Manamela's certificate that you were regularizing according to your evidence.
That's right.
It's still for Lapeng, Home of the Aged. It's for severe psychiatric disability. It's for 28 people.
And it's written.
71 Victoria Street.
And here it's written 38. I can see that.
Now, if you were regularizing, my question to you is, how come you got the address wrong? How come you got the number wrong?
Let
And
me
why sign 2?
I can't recall the facts at that time, but I concede that it doesn't look well. I concede.
So I want to put it to you, when you as an official with a duty put your signature to something, it means that you have applied your mind because you're responsible then. Do you agree?
In this instance, I concede to what you're saying.
Yes. It is no defense to say somebody told me and I relied on that. That's just not, or that will never be good enough.
It's never good enough. It's your
Yes.
final responsibility, and like I'm saying, in this one,
And this is just a mess.
it comes out as a mess.
But the
nowhere.
big question is why? Why did you carry on so uncaringly?
No.
Why do you go and sign licenses where mental health care users are going to be kept, and you don't even scratch the surface? You don't go and look. You don't go and look at the file. Look whether they've checked. Is the place ready and fitting or fit for purpose, to use your phrase? What sits behind this? Why would you carry on like that? And then we have this tragedy.
Yeah. Speaking of this one,
Yes,
I recall very well that
Truly worries me.
I actually went to, but it was not for the purposes of this, but this, I went to this Lapeng. I've
Dr.
seen it.
Manamela signs things. She was here and she considered it was done irregularly.
Yes.
You go and you say you regularize her unlawful conduct. And you also sign, but you've not been to any of these places.
No, but like I'm saying, on this one, but like I'm saying, it was not for the purposes
Yeah,
of the license.
Okay, let's not go
I
there. We're
was there.
digressing then.
I've
If it
sent-
was not
I've
for
been
this
there,
place.
yeah.
But your duty is to issue a license against a criteria. Council can run it through now. And we can show your internal departmental document that says when do you issue a license for somebody or an NGO to have the authority to keep mental health care users and to look after them.
And what are the
And you
requirements?
do that blindly. You just sign because some junior of yours has signed. And my question is, why would we do that, Dr. Sullivan? And therefore endanger lives.
The benefit of hindsight tells me that
Yeah.
yeah,
I
shouldn't have
understand
done.
that, but
It
at
shouldn't.
that
It shouldn't
time,
have been done. It shouldn't
you
have been done.
highly qualified, highly educated, MBCHB doctor, you are HOD, you have a wide span of control in the department, your budget runs into billions, and you have this responsibility. Why don't you do it properly?
That on its own also gives you are prone to errors. Unfortunately, some of the errors are never irreversible. Are never reversible.
Did you take your power for granted? That
No.
you could just sign?
No. You can ask any manager. I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that.
And what about the
Justice.
impact? You signed at a time when so many people had died. It was put to you yesterday by Advocate Hassan.
I agree. I didn't even deny
How
that.
do you do that? License in a backdated way, facilities where people were busy dying. How do you explain that?
For wrong or right, I did say to you, Justice, that at that time I was regularizing. You don't have to accept my reasons. Maybe they are not valid, but that was what was in my
I'd go
mind
beyond
at that time.
that and
Yes.
talk to you, the HOD, you, the doctor who's an HOD, dealing with mental health care patients, who has the values that were put to you this morning by your own department, aside the Hippocratic Oath, and then you go and sign and give all these NGOs permission to harm people. I'll put it mildly.
No. But you
That calls for an explanation.
Justice, you put it as if I woke up in the morning and I said I'm going to mess up. And I don't know how it would be possible that you wake up in the morning as a human being and then you say I'm going to do harm to people. No, Justice,
Yes.
no. I would say
But
to
that
you,
is why I hope and trust
I
there
would-
is an explanation. There must surely be. Think about any officer empowered to issue gun licenses and wakes up and doesn't do what the law requires. The law tells you how to look after mental health care patients. You go signing. And you haven't checked. And this just worries me so deeply.
but you'd agree that every time at a strategic level, you depend also on the expertise of the colleagues that are working with you.
I agree. As a bare minimum, you say, bring me the files. Show me that I may sign, don't you? At a bare minimum.
If something has been issued and they say, you know what, I remember the discussion, the ombuds things that you should have signed. We have done everything the right way. Can you just sign? Now I know, you and I know, and everybody knows that with this, one shouldn't have signed. I wouldn't
Weren't
have
you
signed.
helping to sweep
No.
illegality under the carpet?
I would never do that.
What were you regularizing?
No, I would never do that. I would never. Please, Justice, if there's anything that you can say to me or believe about me, I have a proud youth history, and I would never bring any harm.
I trust it. That is
No.
why I hope
No,
there's an explanation.
I would never, outside being a doctor or anything else, I would never.
Why
I
did you
would
agree
never.
to the MEC saying you must regularize invalid and unlawfully issued licenses?
She said I must sign. I'll be honest, I didn't disagree with signing with the spirit of regularizing. So I don't want us to create an impression again that I'm shifting to the MEC. I'm not. I take what I was regularizing. We discussed it. But why I want to go back, Justice, it's when you said that it hurts me more. I know I'm hurt as it is with what has happened. And I want to put the message. I've got a proud youth where in my youth, I also worked very hard to ensure that we have a good country for all of us. I'm not...
Now, please, again, please. We can't
And I would never...
heckle each other, please.
I would
Certainly not here.
I would never, I would rather give myself. I would never go out and bring harm to our own. They've had more harm. They have had more harm. We have had more harm. I will never do that. Never, never, Justice, never.
I accept that, I do.
If
and I
anything, how you
accept-
judge me on that one, I would never, never.
But you owe an explanation to the families, that's all that I'm saying. I don't doubt your bona fide, but you've got to tell them why would you go merrily and sign licenses which are patently invalid?
The difficulty with the past is that you do things in the past, you think your reasons are right at that time. Let me give, there's an example. We once transported 700 or so patients in one day from the old Natal Spread Hospital to the new Natal Spread Hospital. I signed for some of those things. And why I'm mentioning this, Justice, is to say that who knows that during that time I could have signed things in the wrong way, except we were in a situation where everything went well. That's what maybe I'm trying to give an example. Said sometimes errors as they happen, the consequences of them get to be known when things go wrong.
You see,
I'm sure you
yes,
see what
no,
I'm
I hear what you're saying,
Yes.
but you see what a good citizen and a good patriot does
I'm one.
when he, I
I'm
accept
one.
that, I
Yes.
accept that. Once that happens, becomes the first to say, I am sorry, I've made a mistake.
I
should have checked more.
I should have
cared
checked more. I should have listened more. I should have found alternatives.
Yeah.
I should have done there's so many things that when one looks back and see at everything, you say, I wish I could have done things differently.
Yes, thank you.
And I
That's the
can't-
bare minimum you can
That's
say.
the bare minimum.
You've made an error, and any good citizen, good patriot,
says,
if you have done something wrong, there is space to say, I'm sorry,
It
I
went
should have
wrong."
done better.
yes, I should. I should have objected.
Thank you. And should have told the MEC, no, I'm not regularizing anything.
I should.
Yes.
Thank you, Justice. Just to finish off this, in your opinion, it wasn't necessary to regularize because even today you don't think it's a legal requirement, but you nevertheless did it. Do you agree with me?
At that time, I didn't know the legal things.
Yes,
I was
and you still
informed
don't
that
believe the legal things. So
No.
at that stage, you definitely didn't think
No.
it was necessary to
Counsel,
regularize.
it's not that I don't believe. No.
Okay,
If
let
you are
us
telling
not
me, if you're telling me I believe that it's a legal requirement,
Okay.
the legal department at Bank of Lisbon says there's nothing wrong.
We're missing the point now.
Yeah.
Doctor, what I'm putting to you, at the time that you regularized these licenses, you didn't think there were anything wrong with them. So it wasn't
correct.
necessary to regularize.
You know, Counsel, you sound like somebody from KZN. And I think
I hope that's not racist.
no, it's geographic. I think you are from Port Elizabeth, aren't you? But I'm just fascinated by regular lies. I mean, very well.
Or the R and the L. Okay.
What I want to put to you, you were with the Umbut. You knew people had died.
I knew that.
You were with the Umbut on the 23rd of November 2016.
Yes.
Now we know at that stage 94 people had already died. Just answer.
In fact, council yesterday said it was 108, to be correct. Am I correct?
If
103,
okay,
108.
I've done a replotting of the Umbut, but lots of people have died.
At
And
Pastor,
you
yes.
knew at least 40-something people had died
40,
when,
yes.
when you had the interview.
Yes.
Now, my problem with you going to sign documents, you say it's not a cover-up, but you knew people were dying. Why not leave it and say, this is how it was? Why trying to change the paperwork now?
Yeah. When you regularize, when you regularize, can I?
Ndiyacela bethu. Ndiyakupela ne? Let's not heckle, please. Let's just listen. And the witness entitled to provide an answer, please.
When you regularize, you sign for something, but that thing must not disappear that you are regularizing. That is why you are able to see the license signed by Dr. Manamela and the ones that I've signed.
I understand that, Doctor.
It's not like you are hiding. If you are hiding, the other one would
My
disappear.
question is, why do it? You know people have died. Why not say whoever had this wrong will take responsibility for that? Why not take that stance?
That's what I was saying to the justice, that at that time you think you're doing things the right way. At that time.
Is after that date, more people died.
It's
So why
sad.
waste time with something like that instead of trying to sort out the deaths that were still in the pipeline to make sure no more people died?
But I'm sure you'd agree that I did indicate that I was running around. Even that time, I was running around. If you say I didn't do more, I will not argue with you.
Counsel,
Justice, I have still a way to go. I'm
you've
very
still
sorry to say.
a way to go.
Yes.
Okay, that is fine. We're going to, it's 1:30. I think we're going to adjourn for lunch, the usual 1-hour lunch, and we'll be back here at 2:30.
Thank you, Justice.
But I think it's fair to say that we ought to shoot for, sorry, Emva. I think we ought to shoot for finishing this witness today, isn't it? That applies to all counsel. We should try and, without limiting, if you can't, you can't. But we should keep that in mind because we have 2 expert witnesses tomorrow, do we? Advocate Guchan.
Justice Mseneke?
On the program, we have 2 expert witnesses tomorrow, don't we?
Correct. One will touch on the factual evidence relating to the movements of patients back to life as Esidimeni, I think out of NGOs. And so she will be touching on that as well.
But that's an expert witness, is it?
It's factual. It's a factual witness.
It's a factual witness.
Yes.
And the Professor Dyer, when would she testify?
Professor Dai is available, but I think it will depend on how far we go with this witness, Justice Mseneke. But my colleague may address that, whether she is still available for tomorrow or not.
Advocate Hassan.
Justice, Professor Dyer was due to testify today, and we've moved her, and I can't say that we'll be ready to go with her tomorrow. We need to relook at our schedule.
Okay.
Justice Msaneke, I think there is also a legal aid witness we can deal with tomorrow, together with Ina Grobler. So there are 2 witnesses already available for tomorrow. If Professor Adaya is not available tomorrow to assist.
And when would she testify?
Professor Adaya,
In January?
yes, in January, Justice Msaneke. And Professor Grobler, that is the expert on mental health ethics.
Yeah, okay, very well. We might have to have a meeting of council at the end of the day today.
Correct.
To help me understand, to help me understand all that.
Correct. It was suggested by my colleagues earlier this morning that we may have to sit down and thresh out our program, I think, again for next day, January. We may have to find, I think, some few days before the 22nd to sit through these other witnesses. But that
I'm
would,
sure we're all
yeah.
anxious to bring this to an end, right?
Correct, correct.
Very well, we are adjourned from now till 2:30.